Hi guys, blogger Crystal Cox here. I want to talk to you today about the Randazza versus Cox legal case. I've done some previous videos on this topic, but I'm going to do quite a few more on each motion in the case and kind of just the different laws that apply, what was said, what I believe that was an abuse of power in process, each law that Mark Randazza used. And the reason I'm doing this is to help the general public to understand what attorneys can do to you once they target you. Now, you don't have the money to fight back. There's not really much that you can do in the way of defending yourself against them, especially when they are attorneys like Mark Randazza who are experts in the laws that they're suing you on. Now, Mark Randazza has a unique way of doing it. Like with my case, he filed a lawsuit against me. He didn't bother serving me or notifying me. He had my email, all my contact information, because he used to be my attorney. And so instead of contacting me, he simply filed a lawsuit for approximately $3 million. Said a whole bunch of horrible things about me, accused me of being a criminal, accused me of doing lots of things that I didn't do. And then he leaked this to his attorney friends, his media friends, and they published articles using the information inside the court motion to defame me and to target me, harass me, and try to bully me and silence me. And they do this to many people. I call them the Randazza legal groupies, the people in his group. Now, I have filed many lawsuits against them all, and they have went nowhere. However, this is on the docket. It is proof that this has happened to me. It has happened to quite a few other people, and you can research all of this. It's hopefully someday there'll be a RICO case, racketeering against Randazza Legal Group and all of these folks that have conspired with him, such as Turkowitz Law, Forbes, Kashmir Hill, NPR, Bob Garfield, Jordan Rushy, Scott Greenfield, William Peacock, that he reports on the Ninth Circuit cases. He just trashed me. They have no proof other than Mark telling them that I did something that I didn't do, and they believe him because he's an attorney and I'm not, so they don't believe me. Anyway, I'm going to read you this case. Like I said, I'm going to read you different documents in the case, different laws. I might give you some tips on defenses. I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything. Mark Randazza has been at me for 2 years. He keeps filing to try to strike my answers, to remove all of my rights. 2 years ago, he stole all of my domain names that he sued me over. Now, I've been in the domain name industry for a decade now. It's highly unusual what Mark did to me. He sued me, he got an unconstitutional TRO, which is a protective order. He took my intellectual property, my gripe sites that complained or talked about him, griped about him, made fun of him and his wife. He took them all in an unconstitutional TRO. Now, he himself has said that those protective orders, the TROs, are unconstitutional, but he did that to me. Now, when there's a court case and a dispute about a domain name, what is supposed to happen is the registrar, such as GoDaddy in this case, is supposed to lock the domain name, the server, as it is, and when the court case is over, then they let the person who won have the name and they redirect the servers. Okay, well, they didn't lock the names. Through Gloria Navarro's help, what they did, the judge Gloria Navarro, they locked the names after they put them in Mark's account. So they moved them to Mark's account, just stole them from me. And then they let Mark change the server, so he took all of my intellectual property, top of the search engine ranking for his name and his law firm and different things, and redirected it towards a blog post on his site defaming me and linking to his friends that were defaming me. And then they locked it. So that is not standard of practice. That is highly unusual. And anyway, this is just a little bit to let you folks know what it is that Mark Randazza does. And I want to make sure this is still recording. And just to help you to understand what you can do to fight back against these attorneys. Now, odds are you won't win. And so I'm sorry to be negative on that. But the thing is they, they're attorneys. They post on each other's blog. And like in my case, Jordan Rushy, he took this, he ran with what Mark said. He now works for Randazza Legal Group. And it just his opinion, and based on what Mark told him, and basically just to attack me and gang up on me. And they submitted this to Judge Gloria Navarro. She used that as adjudicated fact. It was no fact at all. It was just some opinion of an attorney's blog. And took that as highly credible and used that as evidence to take away all my intellectual property. All right. So I'm not sure what I'm going to read. We'll just see. But this is the court case. It's the District of Nevada. And Mark Randazza and his wife, Jennifer Randazza. And they also sued another plaintiff is Natalia Randazza. And she was 3 years old at the time. So I don't know how a minor can enter a contract or how a baby can really sue me, I titled one thing about a baby suing a blogger for calling its mom a slut. Mark Randazza got pretty mad because I called his wife a slut. The thing is that he had did a write-up that pretty much described her as a slut. He was also defending Rush Limbaugh for calling Sandra Fluke a slut. I seen another video he did where he said some guy was calling some other guy's wife some pretty bad names, and he said, well, you gotta love all free speech. And he was defending that. Again, he also defended the domain name Glenn Beck raped and murdered a young girl in 1990.com. He is completely hypocritical. I get that attorneys have to pick a side and defend that. But Mark Randazza suing me with his wife and his 3-year-old is seriously, well, it's just immoral from what I think of. And I don't know how it's legal that a 3-year-old can sue me for a trademark. I mean, Mark Randazza claims he's a trademark expert, right? He should know that his wife and daughter didn't have a trademark. And he didn't even have a trademark himself. But even if he implies or jumps through all these hoops and makes it seem like he had a trademark on the name Mark Randazza, it still does not give him any legal right to take away my gripe site or my suck site. And it certainly does not mean that his wife and daughter had a trademark. And I didn't even say his daughter's name. I didn't speak of his daughter's name. I had his daughter's .com. I had the name as a .com. No blog, nothing on it. The only way he knew is because GoDaddy got my private information in my account, and an insider at GoDaddy told him I had the name. I got the name to prove the point that he is not a trademark expert. He is not a domain name expert. And certainly proven he's certainly not a First Amendment rights advocate. He is an expert in that area, though, and he uses it, of course, to just further his own career and to create victims. All right. So this lawsuit was against me and Elliot Bernstein. Elliot Bernstein invented the I View It technology that all of the porn industry uses, and much more on that story later. This is just about me. Okay, now it was a trademark violation, and the Lanham Act is what the cause of action was. And it says complaint violation 1 is violation of individual cyber privacy protection. Number 2, cyber squatting. Number 3, right of publicity. Number 4, common law right of publicity. Number 5, common law right of intrusion upon seclusion. And number 6, civil conspiracy. Okay, now if you Google, I might even put a link on some of this stuff, but the court issued a denial of a summary judgment against Mark Randazza in this case. And they pointed out some things, I think like right of publicity, I don't think that's even legal in Nevada. In my answer to this, I said he didn't have jurisdiction. I said, First Amendment defense, all kinds of defenses. They shot them all down until a year into it when a new judge come along. More on that later. But common law right of intrusion upon seclusion, too, the judge, I believe, just shot that down right away because he's a porn attorney. He's high profile. He's a supporter of people who write books on guides to be a pedophile. He attracts people like me to attack him, to speak up against him, to gripe about him. He doesn't have a right to come in and violate my First Amendment rights and steal all of my blogs and shut me down. But he did, 2 years and counting. harassed me, took my blogs, published my home address, got a hold of my church, got my bank accounts, got my phone records, talked to my exes, threatened clients, exes, friends of subpoenas. He's sued my sources, Monica Foster and Diana Grand Mason. He sued in Florida. He's sued to get our private information. He harassed my church. He's done everything he can through this lawsuit just to keep attacking me and attacking me and attacking me. And I don't have anything. At this point, there's nothing for him to take. I don't have any money. He just wants to keep teaching me a lesson. And I have a countersuit against him now, which seems to be extremely valid because the man was my attorney. Anyway, more on that later. All right. So, I will have a link to this lawsuit on my blogs. I do have it on there, but also archive.org. You can search for Randazza versus Cox. I'll try to have a link on this video as well. In the introduction, he accuses me of extorting him and harassing him and trying to capitalize and damage the goodwill of Mr. Randazza in his name. There's tons of information online about him. He doesn't have goodwill. I never ever capitalized on his name. I just flat out exposed him, reported on him, made fun of him, reviewed him. He was my attorney, and exposed what he was doing to me. All right. He claims that there's a whole bunch of victims of mine because I have 1,500 blogs and a report on corruption. So he seems to think that every person that I report on or give my opinion of what they did or gripe about, that they're my victims. People like the New York Times and Forbes and Washington Post, and of course people like Mark Randazza, they can talk about whoever they want, and that's reporting or giving their opinion or talking about a story, and they're protected. But me, well, if I report on anybody, then they're a victim. Okay. Let's see. He says, I write things and then I try to get people to give me reputation management services. Never ever happened. The email that he used was a private email in the Obsidian versus Cox case. It was illegal, against the rules of evidence to have that out in the public. It was a private settlement negotiation. It was one of 5 emails negotiating an end to a deal. I was trying to get them to stop suing me. They had already sued me for $10 million. I was my own attorney. Okay? I have never ever posted anything and asked for money to remove it, nor have I ever taken money to remove it, nor will I. Okay? These attorneys made that all up. There's nothing I can do. They got Forbes, the New York Times, the biggest media out there, NPR, everybody to report all this on me. It doesn't make it true. It's simply not true. Okay. So, then he talks about the Obsidian versus the case, and he lies about that. He gives the wrong information, even though he was acting as my attorney. Okay. He talks about the markrandazza.com domain name, and he said that I got that to extort money from him. He knows that that's false, and that is false evidence to the courts because I got it the day that I talked to him. He knows it's that date. It has the registration date. I am an expert in this industry. I got it to control my case and to do the media on my own case. He knew that. This is a deliberate lie to attack me. He claims to be a trademark attorney. He claims to be a domain name expert. He did not even have his own domain name. Alrighty then. I never, certainly, I had already been accused of extortion by then. Mark Randazza conspiring with the people inside of Obsidian. There's just, well, let's just say, if he thought this, he should have filed a criminal charge so that I could present my evidence. Whatever he thought, you know, he told me that he appreciated what I was doing. There needed to be more people like me. You can see these emails. I have them on my sites online. And then he turns around and he says, anything that I need from him, even outside of the case, when I picked Eugene Bullock over him. And I said, okay. So then I asked him if he knew anybody that needed online marketing. And he completely came unglued. And I told him at that time I had markrandazza.com and asked him if he wanted me to do some marketing for him. I thought that he was sincere, and do I need anything? Well, yeah, I need to create some money. I hadn't used the site to do anything. I had never written anything bad about him. I didn't even know the man. When I bought the domain name, I had just met him that day on the phone when he was going to represent me. All right, so this is all just lies and fraud on the court. He accuses me of link spamming and peppering because I had the ability to get in the top 10. I had probably 5 or 6 websites, blogs in the top 10 search for his name, until he, of course, got an unconstitutional TRO and took them all. And now I am in the top 10 again with the Facebook page, Mark Randazza Victims, or Randazza Legal Group Victims, and then my ripoff report about him, which I'm surprised. The ripoff report is allied with them. I mean, Ken White, you know, they let him sabotage my page. I can't add to the ripoff report. I add to other ones, but ripoff report's in bed with Mark Randazza and won't let me add anymore. But it still is in the top 10 for now. Okay, and then he says that Miss Cox referred to Jennifer Randazza as a slut. Yeah, I do. Jennifer Randazza is a slut. That's my opinion. I feel that way. I pretty much, yeah, I still go with that. She's a slut. Okay, falsely accused him of wrongdoing. No, I reported on him. And believe me, there's a lot to report. A lot to report. Okay, so I'm trying to go down just to the cause of actions. He claims he has jurisdiction. I don't think that the Nevada courts have jurisdiction over my blogs. I don't believe that the registrar is in Arizona. I lived in Washington. I have First Amendment rights, but without any First Amendment adjudication whatsoever. They just stole my blogs and my sites, dozens of them. Okay, here's some names of some of the sites that they took, that he sued me on. Now, he'd already got markrandazza.com through WIPO. He lied to WIPO. He accused me of criminal activity with WIPO, and he accused Elliot Bernstein. WIPO, through Mark Randazza's friend, INTA trademark attorney, Michelson. Why his name's escaping? Peter Michelson. He flat out lied, and in an international publication, he accused me of criminal activity and Elliot Bernstein. So Mark Randazza already got markrandazza.com, but I had markjrandazza.com, markrandazza.me, fuck markrandazza.com, which, you know, he says that, well, they could have confused that with his main site. No, they're clearly gripe sites. markjohnrandazza.com, markrandazzasucks.com. Oh, they would have certainly confused that with his trademark. Okay, Mark Randazza is a lying asshole.com. They took all these. markrandazza.biz, markrandazza.info, markrandazza.mobi, markrandazzaparody.com. Now keep in mind, Mark Randazza defends people's right to do parody. Okay, he says that that case, the Larry Flint case, was one of his, you know, heroes. That was about defending parody. But he doesn't like it when I do parody, and he sues Monica Foster when she does parody because it involves him. Okay, expose markrandazza.com, RandazzaLegalGroupSucks.com. He doesn't have it, you know, he sued me in his personal name, not the company didn't even sue me, but they gave him that name too. Troll markrandazza.com, hypocrite markrandazza.com, Crystal Cox markrandazza.com. The courts gave him all of these in an illegal, unconstitutional TRO 2 years ago. markjohnrandazza.blogspot.com, randazzalegalgroup.blogspot.com, Mark Randazza violated my legal rights.blogspot, and then markrandazza.blogspot.com with the K, M-A-R-K, took that. Jennifer Randazza, okay, Mark Randazza Free Speech, Mark Randazza Egomaniac, Mark Randazza, a whole bunch more different Mark Randazzas. Mark Randazza Women's Right, let's see, Mark Randazza Tips, Mark Randazza Above the Law, Mark Randazza lied about Crystal Cox, and then they accused me of having one called JanelleRandazza.blogspot.com. I didn't even know who that was. So I researched that, and apparently that's Mark's sister, who has connections in media, which is probably why he's got his big connections in big media. I'd never had that blog. It's a flat out lie. I didn't even know that person existed until I saw that. Okay, so before we get into the actual laws here again, okay, the allegations to the same counts here. Let me make sure this is recording. Sorry about that, but it shuts off all the time. So I'm just going to read a little bit about which laws apply here. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to shut it off here, and this will be the end of part 1.